How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about this very interesting video that I've stumbled across on the internet featuring a lady talking about how eating meat is somehow racist, sexist, and a bunch of other obics, obes in this. Now, a little bit of background before we go any further. This comes from Oxford Union over at Oxford University in UK. Now, this is a debate society, and they started about 200 years ago. And I'm sure that the debates back in 1820, 1830 or whatever were much different than now. I don't think they were talking about how eating meat is somehow misogynistic, but here we are, 2022, things change. Now, we're going to go ahead and get into the video. There's a longer version of this, and if you want to see that, I'll link to it in the description. But first, let's go and look at the debate participants. You have Heather Mills, Professor Jeff McMahon, and Carol Adams is who we're going to talk about today. Carol Adams is a writer, a vegan feminist, and animal rights advocate. She's known for having written The Sexual Politics of Meat, a feminist vegetarian critical theory, and she's in the Animal Rights Hall of Fame in 2011. So it's a whole lot going on. And then you have Micaiah Peterson and Peter Stevenson, OBE. I guess that's Order of the British Empire. I guess he's been knighted. But that's who's involved with the debate. Again, I'll link to the full thing in the box. But let's get to this clip that's kind of been edited down to get to the core elements of Ms. Carol Adams' talking points.
I believe we should move beyond all meat. The assumption that the best protein comes from corpses is a racist belief.
How is eating a so-called corpse, like an animal, how is that racist? And my other question would be, is it racist when other animals eat animals? Is that somehow racist too? I mean, it doesn't make any sense right away, but let's keep on going.
How do you know the animal would have picked you to feed off their corpse? 21st century animal eating requires our complicity in a new colonialism. These events especially affect girls and young women. Your hamburger comes with a dose of misogyny.
Now, one thing she was saying in a longer version is like you're considered not really a man if you don't eat meat. And colonialism, as far as like the British Empire, what they would do is say that the rice-eating Asian countries were feminine and whatnot because they didn't really eat a lot of meat. So they didn't really have the protein. They relied on the carbohydrates and stuff like that. So that's what she's talking about with misogynistic stuff and sexist and racist and all this and that and the third. But last I checked, we could eat animals. Like it wasn't a thing that we had to get programmed to do. We could eat animals. We could eat vegetables. We could do both. We're omnivores. We eat all of those things. Okay. And again, when an animal eats an animal, is that somehow racist or sexist or misogynistic? I don't understand.
Popular culture is flooded with references to sexy cows, sexy pigs, sexy chickens, sexy fishes, who all just want to have fun.
I can't say I've ever heard that one before. That's new to me. If y'all have heard that, a sexy fish, y'all let me know in the comments. I've never heard that before in my life. You know, maybe if I get a good T-bone steak or something like that, that's a different story. But you know, some salmon, some tilapia, not tilapia. That's kind of trash. But anyway, I digress.
Meat eating is also one of the ways gender-based structures of oppression are perpetuated. Masculinity, a construct of the gender binary facing constant destabilization, feels always under threat, and eating animals is its protection racket. White supremacists weaponized it, eating meat, eggs, and dairy, and the
So if you eat meat, eggs, and dairy, that somehow makes you adjacent to a white supremacist? Is that where we're going with this lady? I mean, come on. Like this right here, this is an example of the kind of nonsense kids are learning in K through 12 and also college, which is why, hey, if you're paying to get educated like this, well, really you're paying to be indoctrinated. If that's going on, you're wasting your money. Matter of fact, you're being robbed, barefaced, no pistol, but I'll move on.
Baiting of liberal men as so-called soy boys are all part of the neo-Nazi messaging. To say you care about animals is considered a sign of weakness in a world still committed to the gender binary. Meat eaters, like anti-abortionists, have forgotten that one quality of non-existence is not having awareness about existence.
So, okay, let's pause right there. So, I knew she would say, I knew that abortion would come up here. So, by the way she said it, talking about anti-abortionists, trying to paint anti-abortionists, meaning pro-life, trying to paint them as the other, meaning that she's probably pro-abortion. So you can kill a baby, but you can't kill an animal to eat. Human beings must eat food to live. Just understand that. So you're against killing animals to eat, which is what is required to do, but to kill a human being out of convenience is totally fine. Got it.
When all else fails, meat eaters assert that animals are not our equals. I heard all your laughter. I know some of these must be new ideas, or you think they're fringe or whatever.
Yeah.
Our whiteness is part of the problem of meat eating.
Our whiteness. I'm pretty sure I saw a black guy right behind her and a black woman or some kind of other non-white woman right there, right next to her doing a transcription or whatever. So, which you mean our whiteness? It's like, okay, so this is only for white people, this lecture. Isn't that racist and pretty cringe on top of that?
I believe.
So that was the video right there. And again, there's a full version of that. It's like 12 minutes just for her part. I'll link to that in the description. But boy, oh boy, I mean, I'm not against vegetarians. If you're vegetarian, vegan, or whatever, that's totally fine. I was vegetarian for, I say, about 2 or 3 years. I wouldn't go down that road again. It was cool to go through the experience because I learned about different kind of vegetables and, like I have an appreciation for Brussels sprouts, kale and, those types of green vegetables, rice. Before that, I didn't really eat that way. I have a more balanced diet now, but I'm definitely going to eat some meat. I'm eating my chicken, I'm eating my fish, I'm eating my red meat, all that good stuff. Before I went through that experience, I didn't really have an appreciation for meat. But see, the problem in other countries, as far as, or other cultures, the reason why they don't eat a lot of meat, or they did not eat a lot of meat, is because they didn't have access to it. Okay, they didn't have access to these big industrial farms that we have right now. That was the whole thing. They wanted to eat meat, but they didn't have enough resources to be able to get it. That's the problem. That's really the issue. Now, if you were living like an Eskimo, somewhere like that, in the way up north, like Alaska, how you going to farm on ice? You're eating a lot of fish. You're fishing all day long. That's what you do. I mean, what kind of food are you eating in the igloo? I mean, come on, like, let's be real. The environment has a lot to do with it. Your sometimes economics has got a lot to do with it. That's just what it is. Now, the way things are nowadays in the West, you have so much processed and fake food. We're trying to get back to eating just regular meat and not meat doused in sugar and all types of salt and seasonings and sweeteners and things of that nature. You're trying to get back to just normal kind of food. I'm not against, salt and seasoning. I'm just saying, when you got a piece of chicken, right? Just regular chicken breast or something, a chicken leg, and you douse that in the flour. So you got the flour, grease, seasoning, sugar, oil. I mean, do you want some meat with all your carbohydrates or what? You see what I'm saying? You got to get through a pound of carbohydrates and sugar and to get to the actual protein. We got to get back to eating regular food. You see what I'm saying? Then you'll be all right. People ask me, what do I eat? How do I keep myself together? I'm like, man, I just kind of keep it simple. Keep it simple and you'll be much better. It's not even about, attacking somebody for how they eat as far as vegetarian or eating meat or whatever. It's about having a well-balanced diet. And you can do that in the first world country. And the third world country may not be that way. All you may have is a bag of rice. All you may have is your vegetables. And then I talk about that right quick. If you want to have like the American or Western style thing, or even just, I'm going to say Western, I would just say, if you want to have enough food to be able to eat and not really run out, and it's going to only be vegetables for 7 billion people, you're going to eventually have what's going on in China right now, which is over use of the land, which causes desertification. That's probably what happened with, that's probably how the Sahara Desert became the Sahara Desert. When you use the land too much agriculture, too much growing under crops, you're going to wear the topsoil down and you're going to have sand. That's how desert spreads. So when you're talking about being harmful to the environment, agriculture on the wide scale harms the environment. If all you're going to be doing is growing vegetables and you're doing that consistently and at a large scale, you're going to clear trees out. You're going to clear a lot of land out. It's going to be an issue. It's like solar panels. Oh, this is the way of the future. Meanwhile, you have to harm the environment to be able to get that done. The wind turbine, same thing. When those blades go bad and they can't be repaired, they also cannot be recycled. They're going to be in a landfill somewhere, just big for no reason. So I think her debate was flawed. I think that there are certain ways other cultures have, have eaten and prepared food or whatever, but it's not just because they are somehow better than the so-called big bad oppressors. It's not even about that. It's about what they had access to. Now, if they could have access to these big industrial farms with cows and chickens and whatnot, they'd be on it as well. It just didn't have access to it, and that's it, and that's all. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think eating meat is racist? If you go to a steakhouse and you get this big, this big T-bone, New York strip or whatever, the tomahawk, is that somehow racist? Oh, I guess the word tomahawk is racist too, according to that lady. But whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. Eating meat is not racist, okay? I advocate for a well-balanced diet that keeps you healthy. And you can be healthy by eating meat, by eating vegetables, and by carbs, really, but you just got to limit how much you eat, and you got to eat properly, exercise, get your water, all that good stuff, okay? If you're drinking a bunch of soda all day, three meals a day, which is too much for most people, 3 meals a day, chugging down soda, you got all types of sugar and fats and salts and whatnot. Where's your actual protein at? Where's your actual vegetables at? The thing that I see a lot is when people take like a green vegetable, like a broccoli, and then they douse cheese on it. It's like, what do you do? Just steam the broccoli lightly and eat it. I promise it'll be good. But when you get hooked on the sweeteners and the salts that's when things get weird. Just eat healthy. That's the main thing, rather than trying to talk about eating meat being somehow racist. Just eat right and live longer. Very simple. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.